Hey everybody, it's Ken, and this is going to be a little bit of a different kind of video for this channel. I was able to sit down with the co-owner of Radiance Ketamine Clinic here in Reno. His name's Greg, really nice guy. I love the way he explains in very simplified, easy to understand terms how ketamine works on a physical level, how it can be of value to people with depression, especially when combined with therapy. If you've ever been curious about ketamine, I think you will find this video to be informative for you. Do all the things, like and subscribe, all of that stuff, and without further ado, let's learn about ketamine for depression. Welcome. We are at Radiance Ketamine Clinic, and I am here with one of the founders of the clinic, Greg. Greg, thank you so much for letting me do love this. Love this. So you've been operating as Radiance Ketamine Clinic for how long here?
So I am a co-owner, as you know, of Radiance Ketamine Clinic, a co-owner of another clinic in Reno that is offering ketamine called Brain Health Restoration. They also offer TMS and MERT treatments. And then also we're opening up a clinic in Concord, California, Vivid Life Ketamine Clinic, and I'm a co-owner of that. We initially started our very first patient February 2020, which is, as you remember, right when COVID hit.
Not the most auspicious
beginnings.
Okay.
So we actually closed down for a little bit because we weren't sure what was going to happen with COVID. And then in February 2020, we were like, wait, why are we closed? The mental health in this community is the worst it's ever been with COVID. So we need to open. So we opened officially in July of 2020.
Okay.
And we've been open since then.
Tell me a little bit, for my viewers here, what your background.
Yeah, so I'm a nurse anesthetist. I opened up Radiance Ketamine Clinic with my partner, Dr. Francisco Do Feliz. He is a primary care physician. Started a ketamine clinic because I was giving anesthesia in the hospital at UCSF, and I went to go interview a patient before taking him back for surgery, and he asked me if I would give him ketamine while he was asleep. And I was quite taken aback by that request. I'd never had anyone ask me for that. And so I asked him why he was asking me for that. And he said that he was a psychiatrist and he had had depression his whole life. And he had read some incredible studies that say it can help with depression. I thought, well, he'll be asleep. I'll give him some ketamine. Why not? So I gave him some ketamine. He woke up. I went to go interview him after he woke up, and he was in a good mood, and I said, how you feeling? He said, I feel great. But in anesthesia, once people are awake, you never see them again. Your job is done, right? So I went home and told my partner, I said, guess what the patient told me today? He was like, what? I said that ketamine can help with depression. He was like, are you serious? I was like, yeah, that's why I thought. Are you serious? So it just was kind of on my mind for a couple of days, and I was like, is that real? And so I decided to look up studies and discovered the incredible power of ketamine through these studies, and so we decided to open up a ketamine clinic. So ketamine is an incredible drug. It works differently than regular antidepressants. Regular antidepressants work on neurotransmitters like serotonin or norepinephrine or dopamine. Ketamine works on a completely different neurotransmitter called glutamate. It increases glutamate, which is the #1 most abundant positive neurotransmitter in the brain. So it's not something new, it's already in the brain. And it's kind of like fertilizer-ish for neurons. So it increases glutamate and helps neurons grow, connect, and work where they may not have been as functional before. So in conditions like major depressive disorder, you can see on the functional MRI that the neurons actually decrease in size, and they actually don't connect as much. And so ketamine gives this burst of fertilizer that helps neurons grow and connect and function better. Another way that it works is it helps you get into an altered state, which the altered state is kind of like having a daydream a little bit, kind of having one foot here in reality and one foot a little bit somewhere else. And in that state, people are frequently able to go to places in their mind and think about things in a different way, a different angle. There's been an analogy made that our thoughts are like sleds going down a snow hill. When we're young, that snow hill is fresh with new snow, right? And so those sleds can go anywhere. And so we have these thoughts that just kind of can go everywhere. But as we have the same thought process over and over and over, these thoughts create grooves. And so it's like the same way of thinking over and over, right? And so it's hard to change those grooves when they're really, really solid and deep. And so getting ketamine or a psychedelic is kind of like putting down a new layer of snow and actually allowing those thought processes to take a different path down that hill. You know, combining ketamine with therapy is a really important thing. It can drastically increase the effectiveness of ketamine. Working with a therapist who's trained to help you analyze and change for the better thought processes.
So what were you doing before you decided to open up a ketamine clinic?
Yeah. So I did anesthesia. My last job was at UCSF in San Francisco. I was there for a couple of years doing, you know, brain surgery, transplants, a variety of different surgeries, giving anesthesia for them. Really, really enjoyed it, loved it. Never thought I would leave that area. I'm so glad I did because this is so much more rewarding. I still love anesthesia, but it is not nearly as rewarding to save physical lives and help people want to be alive. It's quite a difference. So I'm really
absolutely. Yeah. How long did it take you to convince Dr. Dofeli's that this was a good idea, or was he pretty much on board right from the beginning?
Initially, he was like, "No, I don't think this is a good idea," only because he wasn't very, very familiar with ketamine. He knew of it as an anesthetic drug, and as the horse tranquilizer.
Right.
You know, people ask me all the time, like, "You do ketamine, like ketamine?" I'm like, "Yep, the horse tranquilizer. That's the one.
That's the one."
And so we were talking about it, and I'm positive that if I hadn't worked in anesthesia and been comfortable with it already, because I had used it for over a decade, that we wouldn't have opened this. He wasn't familiar with it in family medicine, which is normal. And so it was my background that really kind of pushed us into this because of my comfort with it. There's a huge need for good quality treatments for mental health that actually work and make a difference. And so we decided, yep, this is our new route, our new avenue.
What do you feel are the most referenced studies that show the efficacy of ketamine as a depression treatment?
Yeah, so a big one is the one done by Johnson & Johnson that is a manufacturer of Spravato, which is a nasal form of ketamine. Is a longer term study. It is for 4 years and hasn't shown any negative cognitive side effects or any major side effects. And so that's a big one. The only way that a massive study will be done is if a big drug company, big pharma, gets behind it because they have the deep pockets to fund it, right? So the biggest studies are the ones done for Spravato because it's funded. The ones for IV and IM ketamine are generally smaller, like doctors' offices and places like that that have done studies and published them, but they're not these massive, big scale because of the funds. You know, normally it's a retrospective study on how their patients have done. We actually have plans to do studies ourselves and publish in the future.
So from July of 2020, how, because this is not your first location. I was there at the first one over there off at Mayan.
So we were there July 2020, and it took us about a year, but then we moved to this larger location, which is still off in Mayan in Northwest Reno. We've been here, since 2021.
As far as the number of patients that you treat, how would you describe the growth? Was it pretty slow and steady, or did it just blow up?
Yeah, it blew up. So as soon as we had a website and a phone number, we were getting calls from people who were looking online for treatment options for their mental health. They had tried, antidepressants that hadn't worked, or different treatments, different therapies, and we're looking for another option. And so we got calls from people who were interested. We got calls or referrals from psychiatrists and primary care doctors and other specialists, but mainly those two, because those are the two that mainly deal with mental health. Yeah, we got referrals and calls, and started out with just Dr. Dofelice and I. We did everything. We did the front desk, we did treatments, we were the cleaning people. I mean, we did everything, right? And now we have a staff of 13. So it's
I don't think I realized it was that many people. Wow.
Not everyone is full-time. Some are part-time,
Still.
But yeah, it's grown a lot. And we're excited for the future. You know, MDMA hopefully will be legalized this year for PTSD. Psilocybin in the future. Yeah, the future is bright for mental health. I'm excited for this new change. For so many years, we really didn't have very many new options at all for treatment.
Right.
The same kind of antidepressants.
It was SSRIs all day, every day.
Exactly.
And those take weeks.
Right.
To show any effect, whether it's good or bad,
right,
or nothing.
Right, exactly. And you can have lots of side effects in the meantime.
Right.
You know, so
while you're waiting.
Yeah, it's hard, you know, and so it's exciting that we're finally going into a new area, a new realm of treatment that is very effective. I mean, I have patients tell me all day that they're literally alive because of this treatment. It is the most rewarding thing I've done to see people's lives actually improve for the better. You know, they're able to hold down their job. They're able to be there for their family. They're able to get out of bed in the morning. It is incredible to be on the other side of that and see their lives just transform.
As far as the sea change in attitude, not only nationally, but locally here in the community, how have you seen that grow and change since you started?
Great question. So I've given a number of talks to different mental health providers. I feel like we're to a point where if you're in the mental health field, I think it's pretty hard to not have at least a few patients be interested in this treatment and talk to you about it. And so there is a lot of buzz around psychedelic medicine. And so a lot of providers and people, potential patients, reach out to me. I think there has been a huge fear, which is actually, to be honest, a fear of mine before we started. I was like, I mean, I read studies, but I didn't know for sure how this would work. And what if I just made a bunch of ketamine addicts? That would have been terrible, you know? And that was a fear I had, and it has not panned out that way at all. I don't know any of my patients who have become addicted to ketamine, which is a natural fear of providers. The interest has increased. The number of people reaching out and asking questions and reaching out on the internet or calling us has definitely increased, and it's been awesome to be able to talk with them and answer their questions and be able to instill confidence in them, the validity of this treatment and the safety of this treatment.
It's funny because I had no idea that there was a ketamine clinic here in Reno. I was referred by my psychiatrist, and when she told me that it was here in Reno, I was like, what? I was fully expecting that this was something I was going to have to go to Sacramento for, and so I was really, really shocked, pleasantly surprised that I was going to be able to do this here. So this is for people who have treatment-resistant depression. Can you kind of explain what the difference is between, I guess, regular depression, which is awful in and of itself, and treatment-resistant depression?
Yep. So for depression, you need to have, well, first of all, you have to have been diagnosed with major depressive disorder, which has certain criteria that have to be met in order to get that diagnosis. And then also, you have to have tried at least 2 to 3 regular antidepressants and not seen significant improvements in your depression. We give ketamine for treatment-resistant conditions, whether they be depression, PTSD, anxiety associated with depression, OCD, and then the specific type of chronic nerve pain called complex regional pain syndrome.
That's funny. I'm sorry. That was one of the early videos I did on my channel, and it's still the most popular one.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like 42,000 views.
Oh, wow.
The CRPS community just really kind of flocked to it.
Yeah. Like I said, it's covered by most insurances, so Medicare, Medicaid, TRICARE, VA. VA is the only one that will cover IV ketamine. Well, Spravato. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
For veterans.
If you're a new referral coming in, how long of a wait is it at this point? Yeah,
good question. It depends on who's referring you. If it is your primary care provider and you don't have a psychiatrist, then you need to see our psychiatrist, which normally takes around a week to get that referral, that consult. And then it takes generally a week to 3 weeks to get in with Dr. Felice. He's our medical director. He does a medical evaluation just to make sure that there aren't any medical reasons why you couldn't receive ketamine. He also talks with you about what what ketamine is, the side effects, all of that stuff, answers all of your questions so that you feel comfortable with treatment before you start. And then if we're doing it through insurance, we get it approved by insurance. That takes around a week-ish to get it approved by insurance, depending on the insurance. Some can take longer, some take less. It is a few weeks with the whole process to get in. But if a psychiatrist is the one that refers you, then it is a faster process to get in because you don't need to see our psychiatrist for that psychiatric evaluation.
Gotcha.
Because your psychiatrist has already done it. The only one FDA approved and covered by insurance is the Spravato for treatment-resistant major depressive disorder. That one generally is your primary care copay because Dr. Felice is a primary care provider. So your primary care copay plus maybe $10 for the drug, depending on how your insurance and how it's covered per treatment. So copay is generally around $30 on average, I would say. So plus $10. So it ends up being around $40 per treatment for Spravato. For IV ketamine, it's $400 per treatment, and for IM ketamine, it's $300. They are willing to cover the medical evaluation, but they're very adamant not to cover the actual ketamine treatment.
Okay.
So at least at this time, hopefully that changes in the future.
What are some of the reasons medically why you might not be able to receive ketamine treatment?
Yeah. So if you've had an allergic reaction to ketamine in the past, if you have uncontrolled high blood pressure, that is a reason why we'd have to delay treatment because that would need to be under control before we start, because ketamine can increase blood pressure for a short period of time during treatment. If you have an aneurysm anywhere in your body, because of that increase in blood pressure, we wouldn't want an aneurysm to rupture. If you have any history of psychosis, although we give it for bipolar depression, we don't give you ketamine if you're currently manic. We wouldn't want to give it to if you also had liver failure because it is metabolized by the liver. And so if you're having liver failure, it would be harder for your liver to metabolize that ketamine. Okay. So those are some reasons why you wouldn't be able to receive it.
I know that you've been all around the country. You guys have been, going and talking about this and learning more about it at different seminars and such.
Yeah.
Has there been an increase in clinics that are doing this?
Yeah.
Because it's funny because I've seen articles where there was a big uptick in people who are offering this for treatment, but then just recently, in the last year, a lot of them have closed. What's your impression of that? What do you think is driving both the uptick and then?
Yeah, so the uptick is that there is a huge demand for it, and there are medical providers and mental health providers who are interested in getting into this field, and so there has been a big, buzz recently. I mean, we go to conferences all the time, and so people ask us, how long have you been doing this? And, we tell them since 2020, and they have tons of questions about it, because they're like, you actually have hands-on experience with this. What is it like and stuff? The reality is because Spravato is FDA approved and covered by insurance, a lot of ketamine clinics who don't take insurance and do Spravato have a harder time keeping their doors open only because down the street, they can get it covered by their insurance, right? And so why would they pay out of pocket if their insurance is willing to cover it?
Okay.
So those who are only doing IV ketamine, unless it's a special niche, of patients who have the financial means to pay for it out of pocket, it's harder to keep your doors open if you're not taking insurance at this point in time. So let's take a tour of our clinic.
Yeah.
So we have 8 treatment rooms. Let's take you into one of these rooms just as a sample, because like I said, they're all set up very similarly. So we have 2 recliners in every room. They are individual, but we do have another recliner in case you have a family member that wants to, or a friend that wants to come with you. So we have heated blankets here for everyone, which are really nice, especially in the winter. This actually makes designed in the sand. We have a call light. We have music here, an iPad with ketamine music that is really nice to listen to, that kind of helps guide your journey. We have noise canceling headphones. You can also bring your own music if that is what you prefer. We have different options for lighting here. Some people actually like it completely dark, but we do have different options. So a tree, lava lamp. Jokingly, I say, I always wanted a lava lamp when I was younger, never had one. And so I made that for it. Now I have 8 lava lamps.
Exactly.
This is a star projector that projects, star stuff from the ceiling. This is actually a light therapy lamp that is for seasonal affective disorder, which can help in the wintertime especially.
Oh, so it has the special bulbs that they're for, okay.
Exactly. We have a state-of-the-art vital sign monitor that actually goes onto your wrist, and this goes onto your finger, and it takes your blood pressure with every heartbeat. So we keep very good track of your vital signs to make sure that you're safe. All rooms are set up very similarly, but this is just a sample.
And it's for IV patients?
Yes, exactly. We have 8 treatment rooms. Then this is a bathroom here. This is our office where we do like prior authorizations and all of that stuff. This is a nurse's station. So we have 2 medical assistants, physician assistant, and a nurse that sit here. This is our preparation room. And then we have a break room that has a washer and dryer. And
I remember what your old break room was.
oh yeah. Yeah, so this is a lot bigger.
Oh,
So, yeah. Yeah,
No.
and also storage, clearly,
yes.
all the decor and everything.
Gotta have a holiday decor.
This is a lot bigger than our first clinic. Our first clinic was about 750 square feet.
Yes.
So this is a nice,
a little slightly larger.
yeah, exactly. Actually, a lot of art is actually done by patients. Like this one, for example, a patient, started getting more into art once she was getting ketamine and found her love for art again. She actually made these frogs of us. She's doing some, let me turn on the light here, doing more of them, but these are actually us. So this is me here. I like to garden, I like bow ties, and I like dogs.
All right, which one's Dr. Dofley's?
Right here. He likes to camp and he likes to cook and be outside.
Beautiful.
So yeah, that's our clinic.